Welcome back to Proudly Asian. For those who are watching this video podcast or watching on YouTube, you might be wondering why I am by myself or why there is an empty chair next to me. So while we are waiting for the guest of this current episode to arrive at the studio, I thought it might be a good idea for us to just do a quick catch up chit chat because it's been a while. So recently we published on the Proudly Asian social media pages that we have started a mini micro collective project where we invite all of you, as long as you are watching this, as long as you're aware of Proudly Asian, all is welcome to contribute a song or a few songs to our collective Proudly Asian playlist. And since we announced that micro project, a lot of you have been really eager to send in your song suggestions. So like we have been receiving DMs on Instagram, in the comment section, in our YouTube channel, and basically everywhere. Like a lot of you sent in very good suggestions. For example, we have one of our previous guests, Carvel, who sent in a few of her favorite Pakistani songs, which have really great energy. And I thought they would make for really great workout music. So do check them out in the playlist. I'm going to link that in the episode description. And our friend from Ube Books, Annie, has also sent in a song from SB19, which is, I think, is a Filipino boy band, and they do great music as well. And some of you, of course, sent in some of the iconic Canto pop songs, think Anita Moy, Leslie Chang. They're always fun and nostalgic. And then some of you sent in some great, moody, and romantic Indian songs. And one of you sent in this song called Zara Zara. And when I asked, why specifically this recommendation? Or like, is there a story behind it? And the person who recommended this song was saying that this song would be a great tune to listen to when in the car on a rainy day, because it's slightly moody, but super romantic. And our friend from the Infatuation podcast, Curtis, also sent in his song. So do check it out because he's one of the experts in indie Asian pop songs. So yeah, I just was telling him I should have asked him sooner for the recommendations. And lots of you have contributed your songs, but we are still receiving recommendations. So it's going to be an ongoing interactive collective project. So anytime that you can think of a song that could go on the Proudly Asian playlist, send us a DM, comment or whatever, wherever that you can reach us. And we will be adding your recommendations to this ongoing collective playlist. But the most important thing is don't forget to listen to the playlist, or if you're going to have a house party or any social situation, maybe you should hijack the speakers with our Proudly Asian playlist. It's a really fun and diverse, energetic one. So keep your song recommendations coming, guys, and let's go to our episode, our conversation, which is this amazing guest. And she is currently visiting Hong Kong on her book tour from New York. So yeah, I'm not going to review who it's going to be because you're just going to find out in a moment. Enjoy. Welcome to Proudly Asian, a podcast series that tells bold and proud stories of Asians by Asians. My name is Isabel, your podcast host, and I'm here to find stories that challenge biases we face every day. There's never just one way to look at Asians. This podcast will take you through a deep dive into the life stories, struggles, and triumphs of young Asians around the world. On today's episode, we have Christine Wong, a Hong Kong American cookbook author and plant-based cook based in New York. Born in the US and raised in Cincinnati, Christine is an active member in New York Chinatown and a champion of sustainable living. She joins us to talk about her culinary journey and her newest vegan Cantonese cookbook. Christine, welcome to Proudly Asian. I know that you're not normally in Hong Kong, so I'm so glad that you're stopping by our studio here in Hong Kong, despite you have a really crazy packed schedule. But for our listeners who are curious, can you tell us why you're here in Hong Kong?
Yeah, I'm here because my new cookbook just launched, The Vibrant Hong Kong Table, and I came and I did a book tour and I did a bunch of events.
Oh my God, yeah. And I had the pleasure of going to your pop-up dinner the other day, which was hosted at this kind of like a hybrid cha chan tang type of space, which was really cool. So for those who are curious, you can go on our page or Christine's page to look at some of the highlights. But for us to get started with the conversation, let's start from the very beginning, Christine. For our listeners who might not have heard of you, why don't we do a quick introduction about yourself? Tell us about your background. Who are you? What are you? And where did you grow up?
My name is Christine. My name is Christine Wong, and you can find me on Instagram at Conscious Cooking. And I am a plant-based chef. I live in New York City, and I grew up between Cincinnati, Ohio, and Hong Kong.
So were you born in the States and you grew up in the States and then you somehow moved to Hong Kong in between, or how did that?
It was a little back and forth. I was born in the States, and ages 3 to 5, I was in Hong Kong, and then back to the US, and then back to Hong Kong when I was 12.
Wow.
And then back to the US for college, and then back to Hong Kong after college.
Interesting.
So it was a lot of back and forth. Hong Kong was definitely my home, what I considered most as my home growing up. But that's interesting. It's all good.
So your family's all sort of linked to Hong Kong for generations.
For sure. We've been here for 3 generations.
I see. Wow. So tell us about Cincinnati, because it seems like a place that not a lot of people have heard of, outside of America, especially for our listeners. There is a whole bunch of listeners who are not based in the States. So can you describe to us what it was like growing up there?
I mean, I was young a long time ago, not to sound my age, but so when I was growing up in Cincinnati, and Cincinnati is very suburban, right? Mm-hmm. It's all about just the houses. You take the yellow school bus to school, and at that time I was the only Chinese kid in the school, so it was eye-opening in a way, and at that age, and it's not uncommon. I just wanted to fit in, right? So I would speak, every time my parents would speak to me in Chinese, I would speak back to them in English. I would say, we're in America now, we need to talk in English. Mm-hmm. So I lost a lot of my Chinese heritage, culture, by just trying to fit in, being the only Chinese kid. But in 3rd grade, I taught my entire class how to use chopsticks.
Wow. And so, how did that go?
I don't know. I don't know how. I just did it. It was like a show and tell thing. And that was one thing that I tried to show how to do, which I don't even know if I did a good job, because I'm left-handed. And my family never were, I'm the only one in my family who's left-handed. And no one ever really taught me how to do it properly or how to hold chopsticks. I just kind of did it, but anyway.
I mean, I'm not perfect neither. For me, the principle is if it works, it works. If I can pick up stuff.
If you could put it in your mouth, that's all that matters, right? Even the shuffle.
I know. However, all the creative ways, as long as it works for you. And I mean, I can imagine it must be so different, because these days, kids in America, they are kind of sort of used to seeing that diversity or a little bit more Asian representation, right? And when you were in school, you mentioned you were the only one. So, and now seeing what the kids are experiencing these days in America, do you think it's a huge contrast to your experience?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I think it's awesome. And especially in New York, there is a lot of diversity, and people also are more cultured, or they know what sushi is, or they're okay with ramen, because those things have kind of infiltrated everybody's lives in some way, or they know of it. At least they know of ramen. Ramen's kind of taken over the world.
Yeah, I've heard
So people are okay with that, and so I think a lot of people growing up in the past, before, they would bring their lunches to school, and
the smelly lunch moments.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But it might still happen now. I hope it doesn't, but you never know, because some people are still very narrow-minded in that respect.
We hope that we can widen that representation, and with the work that you do, hopefully that's going into the effort as well. But it's definitely encouraging to hear that there are kids who aren't Asian at schools these days, like requesting their moms to bring, bring japchae for school lunch, especially with like K-pop, Korean drama being so popular. Yeah, and of course, you just wrote a cookbook, so obviously I have to ask you a food-related question. So do you have like a favorite dish growing up?
Oh, growing up,
a lot.
Yeah, a lot. It's hard. I mean, like the book itself, it encapsulates a lot of my childhood and things that I ate as a child, because also it's plant-based, by the way. So like I've kind of recreated, but made it more like into more sustainable in terms of like embracing plant-based foods. But to answer your question, I don't know. I mean, I'm really just happy with a bowl of rice. Like, I mean, I think that's a constant, and if people ask me what would be my last meal on earth, I would always say a nice bowl of steamed rice with, anything, but just I have to have that. Bowl of rice. And that's always been a constant to have that.
It goes well with everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Even soy sauce.
For sure. Well, in high school, I went to high school here in Hong Kong, at the canteen, it would be curry sauce and rice. That was it. Not even like, there was no stuff. I mean, I guess there was chicken, but obviously that was much more expensive. So it would be like, I would have curry sauce and rice, and that would be fine. I'd be like, this is like a heavenly lunch.
Yeah, that sounds really good. Yeah.
Because sauce and rice, there's something about that.
Exactly. Like whenever I go to a restaurant and I come across, just some really good sauce, I would always make the comments, oh, I can finish like 2 or 3 bowls of rice with this sauce. And I wish I had rice.
Exactly.
And I mean, you also mentioned, like growing up, of course, you had a little bit of pressure that you had to fit in a little bit. But I'm just wondering, like, if your family also maybe like try to do something to maybe kind of like keep that connection to the Cantonese culture. Did you have any like fondest memories, growing up in like a Hong Kong Cantonese household?
I mean, I think that we did integrate. I mean, we played mahjong. I remember playing mahjong with my dad. And
do you still know how to play?
Oh yeah. I teach lots of people how to play mahjong now. It's super fun, and there's kind of a resurgence of like people playing mahjong in New York. So there's a few organizations, and they have all these social nights where people just get together and either play or learn how to play mahjong, which is great. I love it, and I have my own group of friends that we play mahjong regularly. But I think that no, we lost a lot of it. Which is a shame, and I think that when I moved back to Hong Kong, no, actually it was even after college, because even though I was living in Hong Kong, I was at international school. So I really never thought about, that I was not Chinese enough or anything like that, I never thought about it. But then when I think I started work in, I guess, 2015, I started work for a company called Lucky Rice in New York. And it was, we host Asian food festivals, like kind of highlighting all the Asian restaurants in New York City, LA, San Francisco, like throughout the United States. And working within an all-Asian company and with all Asian chefs and stuff, that really opened up something in my heart. I was like, oh, I never knew that was missing. Like I just kept, going on with my life and not really even thinking about culture or anything, even though anytime I was homesick, I would always go to Chinatown. But it was working there that, that really fulfilled a part of my heart. And then it was like, I want more of that. So I started doing a lot more work with the Chinatown community. And, now I'm very much a part of that. And it's really fulfilling.
Amazing. And I mean, I know we might have touched on that, but I mean, did you ever like have any sort of like Cantonese fix in the form of like maybe like TVB drama or like Canto pop growing up? Like, did you have a favorite
in Cincinnati?
No.
Not in Cincinnati, but I do. I guess. I mean, my mother would still watch all those like Mohawk,
Like the
kung fu movies, the series, like the long
right.
series, and she would always watch those. Or when I was at my grandparents' house, the TV was always on, or when I'm visiting my grandmother and she's cooking dinner. There's always the news is on, there's all, there was always that,
Like
that was like
Cantonese news.
This is here in Hong Kong. So
Right.
yeah, so that was something. But now I think I embrace it much more now than when I was growing up, for sure, because I just appreciate it so much more. And and it's really special.
It's fun.
Yeah, there's an organization in New York called Think Chinatown, and they organize these block parties, and they basically play like old and new Canto and Mando music, and everyone just dances on the street. It's so amazing.
It sounds really cool. Yeah, I was only asking that question because I mean I realized growing up you probably did not even like maybe have access to the internet yet, but then like the later generations of like maybe Asian Americans or like Asian diasporas, like they relied on the internet to kind of like illegally download the TVB drama, and then that's like what they would claim like that's how they kind of like stay connected or like learn the Cantonese. So that's why I put that question in. But now moving on, let's talk about the book and your career as a cookbook author. I'm just curious, like, how did it all start for you? Have you always been so passionate about like maybe like cooking or even vegan eating?
Well, I started cooking really because of my kids. When they were babies, I made all of their baby food. And from there, I would just, you want them to have these little beings, you want them to have the best possible, right? And so, I would make food from scratch, so just to avoid all the chemicals and things that, that come with processed foods. And in turn, they became very good eaters, and the mothers around me, like play groups or whatever, they're like, "Wow, your kid eats really well," and they even eat their vegetables. They fight over vegetables, so
That's unheard of.
Exactly. So then I started sharing recipes. I started a blog and I started sharing recipes, and then from there, I just wanted to know that what I was sharing was actually healthy and good. I know it was working for my kids. But like just to, as somebody who's like putting recipes out into the universe, like, is it really like good for you? And so I took a year-long course called the Institute of Integrative Nutrition. And that really opened my eyes to how food can not only harm you, but it can also heal you. So like that's where when you embrace a more plant-based diet, that you can actually, avoid a lot of illnesses. And so I started then with eating more plant-based. And that's when I started my Instagram as well. And that's when, I figured more people need inspiration with that. Like nobody needs another recipe for a hamburger or like chicken wings or something. So like I would rather focus on vegetables and show the beauty of vegetables and what you can do with it, like so that it's more than a salad, more than a soup, more than a smoothie. And so that's how I really started with writing a book, and this is my third book actually. So
wow. Well, congratulations on
Thank
the
you.
launch. I mean, like, I want to know more about this current new book, The Vibrant Hong Kong Table. Like, how did you come up with this idea? And is this kind of the first cookbook that's dedicated to vegan Cantonese?
I don't know. I mean, it's different in a way. There are plenty of vegan Chinese cookbooks out there, but a lot of them are focused on just using the vegetables and making a stir fry. Like not necessarily in this book, I wanted to encapsulate the most iconic foods of Hong Kong, but make them plant-based. So there's like a vegan lapchang, there's a vegan spam, there's like, so I'm recreating things. And I'm not a fan of mock meats, but so I recreate them with either using tofu or like potatoes or something. So I use whole ingredients to try to recreate the dishes. And it was really important for me to do them visually, like to make them visually look like the original. Like I've had people look at my book and go, this is so nostalgic. And then they don't realize that it's actually vegan. So like, I'm like, I've done my job.
That's cool. That's really cool. I remember at the pop-up dinner, I tried your brisket noodle and it smelled so good. Like, can you tell us more about that dish? Like, what was the brisket made of actually?
So the brisket is wheat gluten flour, vital wheat gluten. So it's like, it's mingan in Chinese, like seitan, right? That's the flour that they use to make seitan. And it's tofu and it's, I used enoki mushrooms that night. So it's a blend of it. And then you kind of mix it up, let it boil, and then you cut it. There's a few processes, and then you fry it up to brown it, similar to meat, you know, and then it goes into the soup. And the secret ingredient for that whole dish wasn't even the brisket; it was the fat. Did you notice it?
No.
So you know, like when you have real lam meat, right?
Yeah.
You have that, and there's always a layer of fat, you know. And so I use flavorless coconut oil to put on the noodles so that you get that, you know, the whole visual and, you know, your mouth feel that there's this like layer of fat on the dish. Because with most vegetables don't really have fat, right? So that's why people just go, oh, I'm not full, or, you know, like this kind of just trips your mind a little bit to integrate that.
Now I need to look at the photos again to like in search of that layer of oil. But I just remember like before the dish even arrived at my table, I was like, this smells so good. I was like, I can't wait to like dig in the dish. Good. Like it kind of reminded me a little bit of like Taiwanese beef noodles even.
Oh
yeah.
I've done my job. I've really done my job now.
And I mean, I wonder, like, you know, like when you release this cookbook, do you get like this question a lot, because it maybe people's impression of Cantonese cuisine, it uses a lot of meat. Like meat is pretty much meat and seafood are pretty much the key parts of Cantonese cuisine. So have they been kind of like challenging you, or like have they been asking you like how is it even possible to have vegan Cantonese food?
I mean, I feel like it's not for everybody, you know. Maybe, you know, there's different levels of being prepared for something like this. You know, maybe it's a bit future forward, but I think that if you're trying to eat a healthier diet, or if you're trying to, you know, if you're open to ideas, that you can embrace it. And that's why with all of my events, I always cook. You know, some cookbook authors are like, oh, you don't need to cook for your book events. I'm like, I kind of do, because I need to kind of show people that they can, you know, like impress you with like the beef brisket.
I'm so convinced. It was so
you know,
good.
If vegetarian food was available like that, I think people would be more open, you know. But right now it's just got a bad rap, because it's like they just kind of just throw it together. Like even some of the greatest chefs who like create these beautiful like meat, seafood centric dishes, if you ask them to do something with vegetables, they'll just do like a stir fry with garlic, you know, like, and it's just you know, there's so much more. Like you can treat vegetables the same way that you do with meat. So that's the goal, that I mean, to, I guess, open up people's minds to accept that.
For sure. I think this is definitely a great solution to like a lot of people's problems, especially I think in this generation, there are a lot of like health conscious people. And I've heard from maybe some of my friends who are like vegans or like vegetarians, they are expressing, you know, like having challenges finding vegetarian or vegan food in Asia specifically. For sure. They are saying like I'm sorry, Japan, but like they're saying Japan is pretty much like hell for vegan eaters.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, Hong Kong's not not any better.
It's not.
Unless you go to like a Buddhist restaurant, a Thai restaurant, like
Exactly.
it's not any better. I think it's really, you have to look hard, or you have to know. Like there is one app called Happy Cow, and you can find, they have listings of vegan restaurants all over everywhere in the world. So that's a good resource for people. But yeah, I mean, the people who do understand, the vegetarians and vegans, they're like, oh my God, I've been looking for this book. I've been waiting for this book all my life. Didn't even know I was looking for it, but it's mine. Like, it makes so much sense. So I've had that response too.
Yeah, this is such a fantastic idea, because obviously people who might have skepticism around vegan, it would be that they are under the impression that if you're vegan, you eat grass, you only eat
exactly.
like green vegetables, green salad, which is not fun. I do agree. But if vegan eating could be this creative and fun, like I'm all for it. Yeah, I hope more people would be kind of like open to trying out different types of like creative vegan dishes as well. But I mean, the next question might be like kind of difficult for you. Like if you have to pick out like one of your favorite recipes from this book, what would it be?
That's actually really easy.
Is it?
It's the steamed egg recipe.
Okay.
So it tastes and feels like, the mouthfeel is just like steamed egg, and it's as easy to make. So really, you're just like whizzing up a bunch of ingredients, which includes tofu and a sweet potato puree for the color, and then you put it in a shallow bowl and you steam it. So it's the same process. It's the same technique, but just plant-based.
And do you like kind of douse soy sauce on top?
Oh yeah, I mean that's fine.
Soy sauce is vegan, right?
Yes.
Okay.
It's just not gluten-free.
I see. And yeah, I mean, so for those who are curious about this cookbook, do make sure you go check out Christine's page or order your copy off of Amazon, or for those who are in Hong Kong, like they can find it at Bookazine. Is that right?
Bookazine and at GOD.
Nice.
Yes.
So do check out the cookbook. But now it's time for us to move on to the next segment, which is called Rapid Fires. And for this segment, as usual, I ask my guests common biased questions that they got asked in real life. So, Christine, are you ready?
I guess. Sounds intimidating, but yes.
It's gonna be fun. Or not.
Okay.
The first question is, Christine, the dishes in your book look delicious, but they are vegan.
Yeah, I get that all the time, especially even from my really good friends. And I'm like, well, you have to try it. Like before you judge, people are very judgy. Before you judge that it's going to be like tastes like rabbit food, like you've got to try it.
Yeah. Give it a go, everyone. Yeah.
But my friend, literally every page. Oh my gosh, this is so amazing. Oh, but it's vegan. Oh my gosh, the whole book. I'm like, can I just take my book back from you, because you're really like pissing me off.
I honestly don't understand why like people have this impression of vegan. I mean, it sounds beautiful to me, but
I mean, personally, I don't love the word vegan. It just, I would rather say plant-based.
Right.
That feels just more accessible. Vegan is a whole different thing, and I myself am not 100% vegan. But I think that it's important to embrace as much plant food as possible. Because there's so much to offer. And you go, when you go on holiday or whatever, or you go try, like vegetables are very like, I don't know why they're scarce, but they're everywhere. Like it's just better to eat more vegetables.
Yeah, it's real and whole food, right? And the next question, Christine, how do you speak English so well? This is a very common question on Rapid Fires.
It is, for sure. Well, like I said before, I made it a point to speak English. I gave up a lot to do that. But just from living in the States for such a long time, and also and going to international school.
I mean, the stereotype is just like people are always like, oh, you're Asian, you can't speak English. But then honestly, language ability is not really linked to ethnicity if people don't know that by now.
Well, I know. And some people do not, sadly.
Wow, this is why we always have to feature this question on Rapid Bias. And finally, banana. Tell us more.
Banana. Oh, I hate that term so much.
It's bad. Don't call anyone that.
So, I mean, but some people are proud bananas. I mean, there's that podcast, Bunch of Bananas. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
And they're great. You know, like I personally, I just don't like that term, which if you don't know, it means it describes the person is yellow on the outside, but white on the inside. And that to me is just, it's so awful. 'Cause I try to embrace, now I really do embrace my Chinese culture. I'm making up for lost time from what I'd like shunned away when I was a kid. So, it really is upsetting when people say that to me. And I get it. I totally understand it because my Cantonese is not up to scratch, even though I understand everything that people are saying for the most part, but I don't love that term.
No. I think it's like maybe it's like it's okay to call ourselves that if we embrace that term, but never really call someone else that.
Oh yeah, no.
That's the rule, right?
Yeah, no. But it's usually locals who will say that. Right?
Yeah.
It's a local person who will say, "Oh, you're a banana. Like you're not Chinese enough."
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, it's another way to call someone like fake Asian or fake Chinese, but everyone has different starting points, and sometimes like just because someone might not be so in tune to the culture that they are supposed to. I mean, I don't think if supposed to is the right word to say, but it's not really their fault. It's just because of their lived experience, their growing up,
exactly,
where they grew up, education and all. So
yeah. I mean, my best friend, he is a banana. He really is a banana. Like he doesn't even give his kids lychee at Chinese New Year, and I'm like, what? I've been giving them one since they were like 1 year old, like giving them a little red envelope, but he never did, and I was just like, oh man, you're not a good Chinese person. But then his mom's very, very Chinese, so
Right.
it's like it's very funny. It just depends.
yeah, for sure. We can keep going forever, but that's it for this segment of Rapid Bias. And finally, Christine, for us to wrap up the episode, I just have a few fun questions for you. I'm just wondering if you ever have a favorite Cantonese phrase.
Oh, add oil, ga yao.
Oh yeah,
For sure.
that's a really
For
good
sure.
one.
Because like throughout the whole writing of this book, I've also been dealing with a lot of family things, not issues, but I've had to deal with a lot of stuff too. And it was really just many times I'm just be like, just ready to kind of give up or just stressing beyond, whatever human levels there are. And my friends would always say that to me.
Ga yao.
Ga yao, So that's definitely a very important phrase for me.
I love it. It's one of the most positive Cantonese phrases as well. Like, other than most of them are kind of like cursing at people or like a bit sarcastic, or at least from what I know, or from like what I've been. I mean, I'm gonna stop talking now. And the next question is, we just recently started this mini project with our podcast guests and also listeners from around the world, which is like to build a collective music playlist called the Proudly Asian Playlist. So now I'm going to ask every single guest of ours on the podcast, and for you, like, what would be a song that makes you proudly Asian that you would like to add to the playlist?
Oh, makes me proudly Asian. I was
Or-
just going to pick a song.
Or like maybe a song that is proudly Asian, or a song produced by an Asian musician, something like that.
I mean, I have a lot. I have a whole playlist of like Asian, like Canto songs and Mandarin songs. But I would say, let's go with Monica by Leslie Chung, because also at my pop-up, they were playing it and they were dancing in the kitchen. And it was like the cutest thing ever. And I'm like, that's my sister's name. Monica is my sister's name as well. So I like, that's that's always been a part of my life because of, it's her namesake. And even in the dedication in the book, it's thanks, Monica.
Cute. That's an iconic song.
That's my contribution to your list.
Thank you so much for the contribution. I love that. And finally, Christine, what does it mean to be proudly Asian to you?
It's about being, I'm super proud to be Asian. And you know what? The reason why I became this way too was because during pandemic in New York, there was Asian hate. And there was a time when I was literally, I know we're wrapping up the show, sorry. there was a time when I was like really scared to go out of the house because there were just all these like attacks on Asian people. And I basically hid inside my apartment for like 2 weeks, unless one of my 6-foot-tall children would escort me around. I would not go out of the house. But then, I have this large platform on Instagram at Conscious Cooking, and I have I'm quite connected with people in Chinatown and professionals and stuff. And I was like, well, I need help. I know I'm not the only one who feels that way. So I basically set up like 2 weeks of just live interviews, like Instagram live sessions with people talking about self-defense, people talking about self-care, people talking about like, mental space, and even just talking about tea and like all these like things that people could just kind of relate to, our community could relate to. And so that's when I really started like really amplifying and being proudly Asian, because I'm not gonna go like hide in the shadows, and we shouldn't have to hide in the shadows.
For sure. We're definitely stronger together. Thank you
sure.
so much
Thank
for sharing
you.
your story.
Thank
and
you.
Congratulations on your new book again, Christine.
Yes. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
That's it for this episode of Proudly Asian. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at proudly.asian for more content. We are on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and YouTube. Leave us a 5-star review on wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in and signing off for now. I'm Isabel Wong.